A proposal in Florida is starting to attract attention from cyclists, commuters, and lawmakers across the country. The idea is simple but important. When e-bike riders pass pedestrians on shared paths, they would need to slow down to 10 miles per hour. At first glance, that might sound like a strict new rule for electric bikes. But when you look closer, the proposal is actually far more balanced than many recent attempts to regulate e-bikes. Instead of banning faster bikes or creating complicated requirements, the focus is on making shared spaces safer for everyone who uses them. So what exactly does this proposed rule do? In simple terms, it requires e-bike riders to slow down to 10 miles per hour when they are overtaking pedestrians on multi-use paths. These are the kinds of paths where cyclists share space with walkers, joggers, families with strollers, and people walking their dogs. The key detail here is that the speed reduction only applies during the moment when a rider is passing someone. Once the cyclist has safely moved past the pedestrian and there is enough space again, they can return to normal riding speeds allowed for their bike. This means the law would not turn every shared trail into a permanent 10-mile-per-hour zone. Instead, it's meant to reduce the speed difference between bikes and pedestrians during the exact moment when accidents are most likely to happen. One of the biggest reasons this proposal is getting attention is that it does not try to rewrite the existing e-bike classification system. Florida already follows the widely used three-class structure that defines how different electric bikes operate. Class 1 e-bikes provide pedal assist up to 20 miles per hour. Class 2 e-bikes can use a throttle and also top out at 20 miles per hour. Class 3 e-bikes are designed for faster riding and can assist up to 28 miles per hour. Under the proposed law, all three types would remain legal exactly as they are today. Riders would not need new licenses, registration, or insurance. The top speeds of these bikes would also remain unchanged. This is a major difference compared with proposals in some other regions where lawmakers have considered limiting e-bike speeds across the board or banning certain models entirely. The push for this rule mainly comes from the growing popularity of e-bikes. As electric bikes become more common for commuting, recreation, and everyday transportation, more riders are using public trails and shared pathways. In many communities, those paths were originally designed mainly for walking or casual cycling. Now they often host a mix of pedestrians and faster electric bikes traveling at very different speeds. When a rider passes a pedestrian too quickly, it can feel dangerous or uncomfortable even if no accident actually happens. Lawmakers in Florida are trying to address that specific situation. The goal is to reduce the tension that sometimes develops between pedestrians and cyclists on popular trails. By asking riders to slow down briefly when passing someone, the rule aims to make these shared spaces feel safer and more predictable for everyone. What makes this proposal stand out is its narrow focus. Instead of targeting the technology of e-bikes themselves, it focuses on rider behavior in specific situations. In many other places, discussions about e-bike regulation quickly turn into debates about banning certain bikes or lowering speed limits for all riders. That kind of approach can frustrate responsible cyclists who already ride safely and follow the rules. Florida's idea tries to avoid that problem. Fast riding is still allowed where it makes sense, such as on roads or dedicated bike lanes. The only time the extra restriction would apply is when riders are sharing space with pedestrians and overtaking them. It's a smaller change, but one that directly targets the situation where conflicts most often occur. Across the United States, lawmakers are starting to look more closely at e-bike regulations as the technology becomes more popular. Some proposals have been much stricter than Florida's approach. For example, discussions in New Jersey have included broader crackdowns in response to complaints about reckless riding. Those conversations have sometimes focused on stronger restrictions or additional regulations for e-bike riders. Compared with those ideas, Florida's proposal appears much more moderate. Instead of reshaping the entire e-bike market or limiting the types of bikes people can own, it focuses on one simple safety rule for shared pathways. The proposal has already passed the Florida Senate and is continuing through the legislative process. Before it can officially become law, it still needs to move through the remaining steps of the state government. If it eventually passes, riders in Florida would simply need to remember one additional guideline when using shared trails. Slow down to 10 miles per hour when passing pedestrians. Then continue riding normally once the path is clear. As e-bikes continue to grow in popularity, many regions are trying to figure out how to balance convenience, mobility, and safety. Florida's proposal could end up becoming an example of a more focused and practical way to handle those challenges without placing unnecessary limits on responsible riders.